White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest responded to the impromptu meeting between Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton. He was talking earlier.
She was asked about it directly, and she answered the question directly about what exactly transpired. And so, you know, she's spoken to this. I don't have any insight into that meeting. I also don't have any insight into the investigation.
Right. Let's get some feedback from my dent-resistant party panel tonight. It's Katherine Timpf, National Review reporter and the correspondent for the Great Gutfeld Show on the Fox News Channel. Michael Malice is here. He is a fantastic writer, an observer, columnist, and a good friend of man and animal alike. Julie Roginsky, also here, Fox News contributor and Democratic strategist. I will start with you.
Yes.
Because this whole thing is insane to me.
I agree.
I knew you would, because I know that regardless of your political leaning, you are a rational person.
Well, here's what I don't get. So Hillary Clinton's up by like double digits in a lot of these polls.
Yeah.
She's had a very good June.
ABC News has her up by 12, Fox News pull up by 6.
And Reuters has her up by 10 today.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden,
Rasmussen has her down to Trump.
Rasmussen, as we know, has for many cycles been smoking something when they deliver their poll results.
But Gary Johnson's still a great governor. Anyhow.
Yes, that's true. But here comes Bill Clinton, who never misses an opportunity to somehow inadvertently sabotage whatever his wife is working on, and does this. Why would you do this? By the way, she does strike me as an ethical person. There's never been a cloud over Loretta Lynch. I believe her and I take her at her word. But why would you put yourself in this situation?
I agree. She's the one who has the responsibility.
Why?
She's the one who is the sitting attorney general. And, you know, I made the point earlier on Outnumbered that if I were in a criminal trial and my husband approached the prosecutor,
as has happened,
there would be a mistrial declared.
It's really,
you know, she's the sitting attorney general who has the sole power lording over this case. You're making a funny, I just smelled bad cheese face.
Yeah, am I going to have to defend Loretta Lynch here? Like, it's obvious that...
she should have boarded up the plane.
Yeah, the thing is, are we living in a world without telephones? Are we supposed to pretend that just because they were physically in proximity to each other, that's their only chance for communication? This is how Bill Clinton operates.
Yes,
with
because
Bill Richardson,
his cell phone records can be subpoenaed.
Sure, but the point is, it would be very easy for him to talk to her if he wanted to, but she knows what the deal is. There's nothing he could have said that would have swayed her one way or another, and you know she's not going to...
She could be offering... He could be offering her a deal, rather,
the Democrats
for the next administration.
The Democrats were offered nothing to pass Obamacare, and they gave up their congressional seats because they knew the cause has to be furthered at all costs. She knows her marching orders. She doesn't need Obama or Bill Clinton to tell them. The left will always do what they need to further their power, and it's not about being immoral. It's about following their cause and furthering the government.
I don't think it's immoral. I think it's
just crazy. It's crazy, and also I'm not so quick to trust her. The grandkids thing.
Yeah.
Like,
she was talking so fast.
My the grandkids. It kind of reminds me how, like, you can lie, but you can also, like, use the lie to, like, try to make yourself look better, like, to catch a predator. When they're like, I was trying to help the kid.
Yeah, I was trying to keep her from meeting with older guys and having...
I was trying to save the kid. Oh, yeah, grandkids. See, we're just great people with grandkids, and that's what we were talking about.
Wonderful. Golf and grandkids and socializing and Janet Reno.
Right, and even if they weren't, you know, she was telling the truth, if they're so close and buddy-buddy that they talk about their grandkids, she can't be impartial. There's no way. There's no situation when this is okay.
Well, but then you're saying that no Democratic attorney general could ever be impartial in a Democratic presidential nominee.
But I mean, you have to realize, obviously, this is such a vastly different case. It is still unresolved. It's still before the Democratic convention, and we don't know what's going to happen from this. We just don't know either way. But we do know that regardless of what the FBI submits to her, she is the one who has the final say whether or not the former Secretary of State, who's trying to become president of the United States, is indicted for some serious, serious crimes.
The optics are bad. I agree with you on that.
No, and independent prosecutor. Now, Harold, I don't know who Harold is, but yesterday, President Obama visited with some of his most faithful supporters. Democrats? No, Canadians. 4 more years, eh? 4 more years, eh? Oh, he also wandered off topic a little in that speech that he gave to Canadian Parliament to discuss Donald Trump.
Now, somebody else who has never shown any regard for workers, they don't suddenly become a populist because they say something controversial in order to win votes.
Oh, he's so obsessed. Oh, my gosh. The Canadian parliamentarians were chanting 4 more years. They hate our Constitution, don't they?
They hate our country because they're jealous of us. They're
Yeah.
America's little sister. But look, Obama and Trudeau have a lot in common. They're young, they're hip, they're attractive, they're with it. Hillary is none of those things, unless with it you mean with early onset dementia, right? So the Democrats have very few cards to play that have worked in national presidential politics in the last few decades. Being cool like Obama was his strategy.
Yeah.
You can't play that card for Hillary, but they don't have that many cards to play.
She's trying so hard.
Yeah, I
though.
think they're desperately looking for a strategy that's going to work for her, and it's going to be very, very difficult to pull a rabbit out of that rotten hat.
It's interesting because, you know, the more you contrast the two of them side by side, the worse it is for her.
Yes.
Because it's like, he's done, he's unplugged, he's leaving. He's like, yeah, I'll be the cool guy. And Democrats will live like, yeah, see, he's the cool guy. But then you look at her and you're like,
America's mother-in-law. Let's put her in
even
the
at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, you know, the president, like him or not, killed it this year. And all I was thinking was, man, if she's president next year, it's going to be awful.
And the only thing she kills is Benghazi and, you know, people in Syria.
Who is this Benghazi? I never met him. The president should just move to Canada.
They got Justin Trudeau, man. They don't need him. Look at him.
Justin Trudeau
so
doesn't even
dreamy.
like the president.
Who
Justin
cares?
Trudeau is so happy he's done.
Of course, it's competition on who the hottest guy in North America is. The poor Spanish, the Mexican Prime Minister, President Nieto, just sitting there next to Justin Trudeau and Obama. Not so dreamy. Yeah, Niente.
You've always wanted a room full of Canadians.
Yes, I have. I love when people cheer for me. It's not really happened. I would always speak only in Canada if I were Obama from now on. I would love to have Canadians cheering for me like that.
He's going to line up 5 more speeches and be like, free trade or maple syrup or hockey or something.
I think the Canadians seem wonderful and nice. I think I can fulfill a need for something on this channel of people who appreciate Canada. Love you, Canadians.
Is that because you're from Michigan? Do you feel an affinity because you're basically a part of Canada?
I'm just trying to get people to like me.
Very close, and she does like hockey. I appreciate that. Coming up, a new poll reveals what Americans really think about Donald Trump's proposed Muslim ban. And later, Mike Baker joins me with new details about the terror attack on Istanbul and who might be implicated. Kind of surprising. Stick around for it. Thank you. All right, welcome back. Last night, Donald Trump went on the O'Reilly Factor, warning that many of the Syrian refugees are terrorists.
They're letting tens of thousands of people come in from Syria, and nobody knows who these people are, and a lot of those people are ISIS.
All right. Meanwhile, a new Fox News poll shows that most Americans now agree with Mr. Trump about temporarily banning foreign Muslims from entering the U.S. 53% support it, 41% oppose. The same poll says most Americans think profiling and more gun laws, more of them, could make the country safer. The party panel is back. Katherine Timpf, Michael Malice, and Julie Roginsky. So, Malice, do profiling and gun laws make us safer?
No, I mean, of course not. But I think that the right needs to start using the left's techniques of using jargon. So they should start referring to undocumented gun owners, because we have more of a right to bear arms than people have a right to immigrate here. And they have to take back the argument from the left and say, the Second Amendment is more integral to American culture than any kind of, you know, importing people from overseas. And I got to tell you, someone who's an immigrant myself, the idea that the government should be spending all this money to import people who don't speak our language and then doing everything we can to make sure there's no need for them to assimilate doesn't really make sense. We should be helping these people, but if someone gets run over in the street, I don't need to make him my roommate. I could get him a nice house, you know, where he wants to live, not over here.
Did your family speak the language when they immigrated here?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
Mine didn't. And they took us anyway.
And you learned it. You learned it perfectly well.
So
exactly.
as will all these immigrants.
Okay, but I guess the question a lot of people have is why is assimilation an issue right now where it wasn't for past generations of immigrants?
I don't know that it's an issue, and in fact, it's not an issue according to every study for Muslims coming here. It is in places like France, where we do a horrible job of assimilation.
Yes, no, the multiculturalism is very different in Western Europe than it is here.
But if you look at the average Muslim immigrant, they have a higher rate of college graduation than the average American. They have a higher earning over a lifetime than the average American. They assimilate better in some ways than people who are born here.
And there are people who make the argument that in places like Minneapolis, the Somali population has not.
Okay, and then you can go listen. You can go to Chinatown in any major city. You could go to other places where people speak the language that they were born in. Yeah. But nevertheless, on average, they all assimilate a lot better than anybody else.
Yeah, I know, but now it's like it's the political correctness thing. It's like we have to think you can't say anything, so you have to worry about you might offend this group you never heard of or do this thing you never heard of. So that's kind of like really getting annoying. I think assimilation is not stressed now like the way it was. But the bottom line is, like you said, the Second Amendment is like a right guaranteed by the Constitution that citizens have.
Yeah.
And
are you surprised that people think that more gun laws would make us safer?
No, because if you look at something, or like, and I'm not surprised people support the ban, 'cause things like this, there's a huge emotional appeal.
Yes.
Like, there's so many things that are more worth our anxiety, but you can't display them, like, you know, that video of the guy blowing himself up at the airport. Something like that, or the video in Orlando of people in the club, you hear the gunshots. There's a huge emotional appeal, so anxiety is like an emotional response. So it's a lot easier for people who aren't paying that much attention to the news to just say, oh yeah, now I really care about this.
All right, Michael Malice.
The median Muslim immigrant is far more homophobic, far more sexist, far more anti-Semitic than the median American. So this idea that they're just like you and me is absolutely not true.
Well, listen, the average person in Brighton Beach, from a place from countries that countries where you and I come from are incredibly homophobic, incredibly racist.
But I've heard you rail against Saudi Arabia, rightly so, for Wahhabism and Sharia law, which does punish homosexuals by death. And they have, of course, the worst record. I mean, but why would we assume that people coming from Muslim countries that impose Sharia law? I'm just asking. I'm just challenging.
I'm telling you right now. I mean, people who come. Let me talk about my own experience. We
but
came.
You're not Muslim.
It doesn't matter. We came as refugees from the Soviet Union. But what's to assume that we didn't come here with preconceived notions that were totally antithetical to America? And a lot of people did, and their children assimilated.
We were escaping an ideology, and they're bringing theirs with them.
Excuse me.
The difference.
They are escaping death in ways that you and I were not.
But they're not escaping an ideology, and we were.
Who says? Excuse me.
They do. Ask them explicitly.
What's interesting is you're both immigrants from the same.
I'm from Michigan.
That's very
true.
similar.
But you're Canadian.
Assimilated right away.
Is that a euphemism?
The panel returns later. We will hug, we will kiss, we will make up. John Kasich rubbing salt in the wounds of Trump's fundraising operation. We'll tell you what's needling Donald, but first, Turkish authorities say they've determined where the terrorists who struck Istanbul are from, and it could add a new dynamic to the equation. Stay tuned for Mike Baker. He's on deck. That is next. It's a party in your mouth. Like your favorite bubble gum. Glad you're here. John Kasich's suspended presidential campaign is pointing out to donors that the governor still polls better against Hillary Clinton than Donald Trump. Meanwhile, Mitt Romney says members of his family are still pushing for him to run, although he has no plans to do so, but doesn't plan to vote for Trump. Is Donald Trump any closer to uniting this fractured party? The party panel is back. Katherine Timpf, Michael Malice, and Julie Roginsky. So why are Mitt Romney and John Kasich talking at all?
Remember those people, like those Japanese people that were shot down in some like weird atoll in the Pacific, and it was like 1956, and they're still like waving the flag for Hirohito, and they're like, we know it, we're ready for the invasion, and they're like, it's Gilligan's Island, and they're basically like, yeah, Japan's it's done, it's almost over. You're like, no, the bomb was dropped in Hiroshima. They have no idea. They're still fighting for the emperor. That's who Kasich and Romney are.
What's an iPhone? So, Kat, should John Kasich be picking out his VP at this point?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what Ted Cruz did right, and I think we should do it again.
Think Arena's available?
No, it's crazy because even if he's right, like, oh, I'm polling better against Hillary, it kind of reminds me of like, okay, so if you like break up with somebody for someone else, and then you realize you made a mistake, you can't just go back. Like, too much has changed and it'll never be the same again.
It's never going to be the same.
And that's what happened to the Republican Party.
From experience?
Yeah.
You're tough. I take him back sometimes.
Sometimes?
You never take him back?
Not permanently.
No.
But, you know, sometimes.
Maybe for a couple hours.
Sometimes for a couple hours.
Kasich's the Republican booty call,
No, yeah, exactly.
You're ready until November.
Hey, John, I know. I think you're great.
Just because sometimes people are like, oh, that was kind of good, doesn't mean we're going to be actually a thing again.
All right, well, the Miss Universe organization, speaking of something equally serious, has announced Miss Teen USA pageants will no longer feature a swimsuit competition, but will instead have a portion of the show with athletic wear intended to show off physical fitness. So you say this is a ratings winner. How?
Well, I mean, listen, if they're not in swimsuits, how am I going to know which ones are the hot ones? If Porky's has taught us anything, and it hasn't, it's that no one likes to see teenage girls in bikinis.
This is how you'll know which children are the hot ones. They're not going to be in like wetsuits, okay?
Yeah.
They're going to athletic wear. They're going to probably be in like sports bras and booty shorts.
Yeah.
Like what people wear to the gym.
Which can show more than a bikini.
It's going to be like a how little clothes can you wear contest.
You're a
instead.
modern-day Donald Trump. I like that.
I'm just saying this isn't making a difference. It's a branding thing. Like, look, we're going to have them show off their athleticism.
Yeah, I love those gingham bikinis, though. Those are so cute.
They're not going to be wearing any more clothes.
Julie, why don't we have boy pageants?
We should have boy pageants.
Right.
But who wants to watch that?
I do.
You want to watch a bunch of boys walking around in tighty whities? I don't. Really?
It's called the Gay Pride Parade. We have that.
By the way, Porky's has taught me a lot.
Something about the Muslims.
I know. I go to the bathroom.
Don't eat Porky.
No, I go to the
Obviously,
bathroom
it's
now and I get a little worried. And you know why? I always think about that.
It's
when I go to
obviously
public
weird to
bathrooms.
have half-naked kids parading around with heels and bathing suits. I mean,
but they're
I don't think
almost
this
out of high school.
But and also it's not
Very
going to change.
mature.
They're still going to be half-naked.
That's right.
That's what we do in America.
I mean, this Teen USA still includes 19-year-olds.
Yeah.
What's the
that's
age?
true.
What's the lower age limit for Teen USA? Is it like
12?
12?
12?
I made that up.
Goodness.
I
It's the
just
age of
made that
consent,
up.
whatever in that
In
state.
Kentucky, so they're usually held like somewhere in a really like low consent state. Sorry, Kentucky.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Rand Paul is shaking his fist at me right now.
Grandpa Paul is like, yeah, you know it. That's
like,
why he moved to
you've
Kentucky
heard
from
of it.
Texas. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
yikes.
Hubba, hubba.
You guys, thank you so much. This is Make by Week. Julie, Michael, and
Thank
Kat.
you.
Look at them. Glorious angels of the Lord. All right, coming up, left-wing billionaire George Soros has dire predictions of a financial collapse after the Brexit vote. Brian Brenberg joins me to soothe or horrify us and break it down. And a little later, comedian Michael Ian Black reads from his new children's book about Donald Trump and a 10-hump wump. Stay here.